Sorry, guys. I didn't grab a beer for today. That's my bad.
It's okay, Sean. We forgive you. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
awesome. All right, guys. Well, welcome to another episode of Beers and Bells. I'm Demarco. We've got Mr. Sean Bryan on here as well, the usual suspects. And we're excited today. It's going to be a fun, hopefully a bit of an insightful episode. We're definitely excited to talk about today's topic. The featured beer is the Cosmic Distortion from Mighty Squirrel Brewery. It is very good. It's a double IPA. I was just telling Sean that it doesn't taste like a double. Like it's actually very smooth. It's very easy drinking, and it doesn't give you that punch in the face that a lot of doubles give you. So Mighty Squirrel. Yeah, no, it's really good, dude. You're gonna freaking love it. And I love their. So I'm gonna give them some. They're gonna get some free marketing here, man, because their slogan on the bottom of the can says "Celebrate Mighty Moments," which I love. I just think that's really cool. I feel like we could do some videos in the future, like some heavy lifts, tag them, and yeah, that'd be a fun thing. So we'll get with the marketing team and get this in. But I love what's on the can. It says, "Bundled in each can are a few of our favorite things: friendship, sports, entrepreneurship, innovation, and fun. We hope you enjoy Mighty Squirrel and have many mighty moments to celebrate." That's awesome.
Love it. Nailed
Very
it.
empowering. That's like super empowering. I love that. So I think that's really cool. Good stuff. All right, man. Sean, you want to remind them of the doohickey?
Yes. All right, guys. Just reminding you yet again of the 1,000 subscriber challenge. So once we reach that number of subs, we will pick 5 of you at random to win 3 very important prizes. One of which is the Strength of Purpose shirt that neither of us have on at the moment, but that's okay. I think you all know what it looked like at this point. Another one is 5 free personal training sessions, whether that be on here, Zoom, or in person, ideally at some point, where we kind of just work on anything that's tailored towards your goals. And then from those 5 sessions, what we do, we can tailor a actual 3-month program for you guys to follow. And then hopefully, we continue on after the fact. That'll be accessible via smartphone app. So we'll, get you guys set up on that. So there's, no questions to be had, and you just, we're the guiding hand along the way. So excited to roll those out. So just keep hitting that sub button.
Absolutely. Yeah, good stuff. All right, Sean. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, 2020.
A pretty big elephant.
I'd say it was it's not quite over yet, but it's been a memorable year. That's for sure.
A lot of ups and downs.
A lot of ups and downs. I feel like when Kobe passed away in that accident in January, I think it was end of January. I feel like that was the omen. I feel like that was the omen that this is going to be kind of an interesting year.
Right. Yeah. Not to mention all the other celebrities. Not that those are the most important people, but there's a lot of well-known celebrities that passed, whether it be due to COVID or just random things. So it's definitely a year that goes down in the books, not in a good way. For the world as a whole, but there's oddly enough some positives that came out of it too, and that's just the whirlwind of 2020 that that isn't quite over yet, to your point.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. It's definitely a symphony. Had the high moments and the low moments. Obviously, we got to give love and respect to Chadwick Boseman. Definitely miss him. We obviously love him because of his MCU performances, T'Challa, Black Panther, but he was also just a very good actor in other films too. He was in a bunch of other stuff. So he played He played Thurgood Marshall. He played other historical figures. Jackie Robinson, that's right. That's 42, right?
Yep.
James
Brown, I think, right?
He was in Get On Up. That's right. Funny enough, part of that movie was actually filmed in Jackson, Mississippi, which is where Lauren and I used to live. So the final performance, Lauren and I have been to that auditorium many times. So
that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. Thalia Mara Hall, Jackson, Mississippi. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and raise a cold one to T'Challa and to Black Mamba. Obviously, both gone way too soon, and we miss you guys.
Absolutely.
So, what's I guess we can kind of go into the next thing. What's been your biggest takeaway from the year, Sean? And you can do more than one if you want to, but what lessons have you taken from this year that you'll hopefully apply into next year and beyond?
I definitely think, yeah, you kind of can narrow it down to one, I suppose, but I guess I can talk about it from like a fitness perspective and then just also like a life perspective. So fitness wise, I would probably say just like, you can really get creative at times where you don't think there's much creativity to be had in terms of, equipment that is accessible to you, and just like obviously lacking motivation because, you and I have talked about it before in person and on the show that that first couple of weeks of unemployment where we couldn't see our clients and we were quarantined so we couldn't really see anybody. Motivation was very low, as it probably was for pretty much the entire world at that
Oh,
moment.
absolutely.
Not not in the fitness aspect of it as well, not just like motivation in general, but specifically fitness, because that's what I'm talking about at the moment. There were definitely a couple days where I was like, all right, I have more time than I ever have in my entire life right now to get this workout done. And then I just like, would start my third movie of the day or my second sleeve of Oreos,
Oh my God, dude. Yes.
um, stuff like that. So, but then, I think there's understandably so for some people, it's like, yeah, you can kind of take a couple days to quote unquote lick your wounds and whatnot because it's weird, you're kind of adjusting to how much time you do now have and just like thinking about all the uncertainties of when's the next time I'm going to make it to the gym, or in our case for trainers, like when's the next time I'm going to see these clients, and are they even going to come back when all this is said and done. And after a little bit it's like, all right, now I really need to utilize this time. Like I took my time off a couple of days, let's actually get some stuff done. And from there it's like you really, like I said, learn to how to get creative, or you should know to outsource to somebody to kind of help you with that. So like I started doing some Zoom classes. I know you did some stuff as well. And
Yep.
just like if you don't have any equipment, like that doesn't mean you can't do any body weight stuff or get creative with, like, I know you said you were doing stuff with like laundry detergent, like having your clients do stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So it's like that was definitely one of the biggest takeaways from COVID in 2020 as far as fitness goes. It's like you can really make it work. You can make excuses initially because it's unprecedented, you may not know what to do just yet, but after that it's like if you can't quite figure it out on your own how to get an effective workout in with, like I said, minimal to no equipment at all, like you definitely have resources out there where you can reach out and have people like give you ideas. So yeah, that's definitely the biggest fitness part. I'll kick it over to you actually, just to, like, I talked about that. Now you can kind of give your insight, and then we'll kind of talk about like I said, just 2020 as a whole, as far as everything else other than fitness.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I'm right there with you. I think you're 100% right as far as the first few days I was definitely a bum. Funny enough though, you and I still worked out that first week. We definitely met up outside, did our deep
We did,
six,
yeah, yeah,
and did some tree pull-ups Tarzan style.
true, yeah, that was fun
And
until it got
yeah,
rainy days and whatnot.
exactly. Yeah, weather. Yeah. But no, I agree with you. I think the first few days I definitely like I kept working out because I needed it. Like I would have
Mhm.
lost my mind if I wouldn't have. It was
Right.
really an anchor for me just to maintain some bit of normalcy. Everyone loves using that word. Uh, but
Normalcy, pivot, like
yeah,
those are
normalcy, pivot. Those are the words that we need to not use next year. We need to
yeah,
find some new
we
words.
we reached our quota for a couple of years.
The word of the year is pivot.
Yep.
But I think creativity, you're 100% right on that as well, man. That's, I had at the time, one kettlebell. So we were doing deep six. I was doing high volume snatches. We were doing presses. We were doing the pull-ups, the push-ups, and with one piece of equipment, we were getting a lot of work in, which was really good. People were using, like you said, laundry detergent. It was funny when you had the Zoom classes, you have a bunch of people and you start off with body weight and you're like, does anybody have any equipment? And someone's like, yeah, I have like a band and then I have a wooden spoon and, a fork. And I'm like, all right, well, there we go. We'll make it work. Let's do
Yeah, MacGyver.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
MacGyver style, whatever it takes. And I told some clients to put some food cans into a grocery bag and you can row it, you can press it,
Absolutely.
I wouldn't swing it, obviously, because it'd be crazy, but no, you could curl it. Like there's plenty of things to do. So I think as kind of a universal thing with this whole year, in many ways more than just the gym or being out of the gym, we are more resilient than we realize. We're actually capable of adapting. I'm going to use that word instead. We're capable of adapting more than we think, and we're, as humans, we're innovators. That's one of the reasons why we're still here, and we've made it through, plagues. We've made it through wars. We've made it through famine. We innovate, and we're problem solvers. So this was just a new, unique set of problems, and we made the most of it.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. As far as like, again, I always say this as like a little footnote that I'm not by no means saying that I'm glad COVID happened. Like that's just would be very ignorant to say, and just not, it's not true.
Oh yeah.
But like it did bring about, certain good things, as far as like I was actually able to buy a house because of it, like just the way things worked out, all that kind of stuff. I proposed, as well as just it allows us to now get those creative juices flowing for people who may not be comfortable leaving their house, even when COVID's like pretty much not a thing anymore, or just like, like I said, getting creative, down the roads. People make excuses as far as like, oh, I can't make it to the gym today. I have X, Y, and Z going on. Well, it's very well possible that they can't actually leave their house. They actually have stuff to do, but it's like, you can be like, all right, do you have X, Y, and Z? Like you said, fill a bag with a bunch of cans or whatnot. It's like, you can kind of give them a little bit of something to bridge the gap between the days they can actually make it to the gym. So it's like I said, it's allowed us to have like more in our arsenal of, ways to keep our clients active when we're not with them, or, when they think they don't have the time, because more often than not, you do have the time. You just don't realize how to put it together, I guess. I feel like very rarely do people truly not have the time to at least stay active for, I don't know, even 20 minutes a day,
Yeah.
So it's good. It's, at least we took that away from this crazy, roller coaster of a year, as far as the fitness stuff goes. But do you want to start off with your general takeaway of 2020?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to piggyback off of what you said. You were talking about how a lot of crazy stuff happened, but a lot of beautiful things happened too, right? Like you proposed to Michaela. You've publicly declared your love for her, and definitely
Right.
taking that next step, which is obviously super exciting. And those pictures were adorable, by the way. My favorite one is right after, when she's really surprised. And you're standing there like, yep, I did good. I did good, dude.
One of my,
So,
this is my background.
yeah, that's a good one. So the one right before that, when you guys are slightly further apart,
Right.
that's my favorite one. So, and yeah, you guys bought a house, and you guys are like real adults, man. My wife and I are still
Weird.
apartment living, man. We're like, we're pseudo adults, I feel like.
Yeah, well, you got something coming on the way.
Yeah, and that's actually what I was going to segue into. Is one of the positives this year is that my wife and I were both effectively working from home, and it was nice. Like, we were able to spend more time together. It was nice having dinner together pretty much every night, and we got really close, so close to the point that we have a baby girl on the way. So for our younger viewers, you just Google it later. I don't want to talk about it on here. I want to keep this PG.
Yep.
So, but great stuff for us too. We found out our family's growing, and a lot of great things happen. So it's I think you mentioned earlier, you said you're not glad that COVID happened, but you're grateful for the good things that came about from this year. The Stoics talk about this. They discuss what they call, it's amor fati, and it's a Latin term, phrase/term that translates to a love of fate. And basically, what they focus on, when they say that, is to be realistic and accept the situation as it is, but not just do that, but then to also take it a step further and then make the most out of where you are, where the situation is. Like, you and I worked out, we read books, we started this series, we're getting the pieces together to start our business, which will be happening soon. We'll give you guys details soon. And but we took the time, like we spoke about, as a gift. So we were definitely realistic. Like, it's pandemic, there's stuff going on. We can't live our lives the way we did before, but what can we do? What can we control? And there's still a lot we're able to do. No one stopped us from working out. Like I said, we haven't missed a week with this show, by the way. We've put an episode up every week since I think it was the end of March. So
yeah, because we filmed some in advance, luckily, so that's
yep.
that's ahead of it.
Yeah, so I think that's the big thing is we've accepted the current circumstances, but we're making the most of it.
Which is really all you can do with anything. But like I will say, I feel like the reason some people kind of got stuck in that rut for longer than usual at least in March for the U.S. Other places obviously got hit before we did, but is because it's like anything that's unprecedented, that's like that big of a hit. Like, yeah, don't feel bad if it takes you a little bit longer than others to kind of get out of that rut, because like maybe you truly, like I said, just don't know what to do yet, and it may like kind of just maybe you're a little bit more anxious and even depressed because again, it's not something you've ever had to deal with before. But then after a brief adjustment period, hopefully brief, you pull yourself up and now you're stronger because of it and whatnot. Because that's the other biggest takeaway that I wanted to mention is just like, if you got through this year, I mean, I really hope that nothing else as big as this happens again, but like just think, it's if any hopefully minor inconvenience that's not even half as bad as what this year was, it's like, just think that may have bothered you more in the past, because by comparison, it would seem to be bigger than it actually was, where it's like, all right, you just got through, almost a full year of 2020, and it's like, you can kind of take on anything if you need to, or you'll be more prepared, or just like willing to kind of roll with the punches, as opposed to like, put yourself up for a couple of weeks where it's like, you don't want to do anything. So I definitely think that's one of the bigger takeaways. It's like, you're going to be stronger than you think you are because of it. Hopefully that's the case for most people, as opposed to like, some people actually lost loved ones and whatnot, and that's still scares the crap out of me to today.
Of course.
So that's the other thing that I'm very thankful for, that I can honestly say that I haven't, been that affected by it thus far. I've had, like, my parents had COVID, and luckily they, the symptoms weren't as bad as it could have been, this and that, and then that's the other takeaway is like, we're a lot luckier than we think we are, because it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true, man. And it's funny. I remember when you mentioned your dad having it, but then luckily I remember you also saying that the symptoms weren't that severe, and he and your mom bounced back really quickly, which is great. I'm obviously very, very glad to hear that.
Right.
So it's very scary. I think March. I think you and we're obviously in the same boat. When the gym first shut down, things they happened really fast, and that was definitely scary. We're like, oh crap, now we're unemployed, and there's this virus. We don't really know about it yet. And I didn't, obviously we went outside, we worked out, we didn't like not do anything. There was definitely that initial moment of like, oh shit, this is shell shocking. This is definitely like, it's scary. That first month, man, I was nervous. Like every time I went outside, I'm like, man, like, and then there was like the masks kind of before
Right.
there was like the mandate for the masks. It's like, should we wear them? Are they going to do anything? And there was just there was so much unknown, so many unknown variables, back then. So it was definitely scary, but no, I agree with you, man. You gotta have that freak out period, and kind of get up, brush the dirt off of your shoulder, and rock and roll. So you got to make the most of it.
Yeah, I think everyone's entitled to that freak out period, like you said, just because, like,
oh sure,
who else could have prepared for this? It's definitely understandable to freak out for a little bit, especially when everyone thought it's like, oh, in relation to the gyms, like, oh, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, when and that turned out to be like 4 months or so.
Yeah.
And then for you and I specifically, like, to have our gym where we built up a good clientele and like a strong trainer, atmosphere, as far as like how close we all were, to have that completely taken away from us because of COVID, like, those are one of the downs. You got to be thankful for the ups, but the downs still suck, because that was our livelihood for a little bit, or for a long time, actually.
Definitely.
And now it's just, we'll never have that again. So that's you hope it opens up a better door down the road, which, I'm sure it will, but it's, you miss it because it was,
Oh, of course.
We were there for so many hours every week,
Yeah.
But you just gotta, when a door closes that you don't want to, you just gotta be thankful and hopeful that like the next best one's going to open at some point. So, that's just how you have to be optimistic.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's funny. I remember days, days at our old gym, Wellington, when I would just be exhausted. You remember those split shift days, man. The early morning,
Yeah.
you're 6 a.m. You got a 6, 7, 8. You work out, grab some food. For when you first were working there, obviously you could walk across the street, which is different. And then obviously when you moved, it changed. But man, then you come back for like a 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're drained. Man, I would love to have that day again at Wellington, at our OG spot. Like our crew was fun, just had some good times, and like you said before, we definitely built up a great clientele there, but really cultivated a pretty awesome community. So I love those like class nights were super fun. And, music was bumping. We had some fun, man. We were just clowning around, just having fun, getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
But it was I'll drop this office bomb now because and I'm sure we'll just mention it again when we do that office episode. But
yes, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, I know. Andy said it best. I think it must have been in the very last episode where he's like, "I wish you knew." I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, "I wish you knew when you were in the good times before you left them or something."
Yes.
Like that, because that's me when I think of like back to like you said the class nights like. I scroll through Instagrams and see a post from like someone who used to take my class. I'm like, immediately takes me back to, Tuesday, Thursday nights and whatnot, where it was just, the music was going, everyone was working out, and it's just a good time. But I'd like to think we can get back to that in some capacity one day, probably with just newer clients and whatnot. But luckily, we were able to hang on to quite a few people, and they're very thankful for that because we gave them, not just something to do, not just busy work, but we gave them our time and attention during quarantine and are continuing to do that now to keep them on track for the goals. So luckily, we got to keep a lot of the good ones, and then unfortunately we lost, a decent amount of clients probably forever, so that's the up and down right there. Had a lot of solid clients stick around, but, lost a lot of good ones as well. So.
Oh yeah. I feel like anytime you have a major disruption like that, there's gonna be a ripple effect. As humans, we don't typically do that well with change. I know I don't. I always have to kind of, adjust. So I'm trying really hard not to use that P word because I'm tired of using it, but but you have to.
It's a dirty word.
Yeah. It's a dirty word. Yeah. So, but no, you're right, man. It's funny when I was watching The Office, and obviously when we do our ultimate, dude, off camera, I'm gonna talk to you about my Office episode plans. By the way, you're gonna love it. But anyways, when I was watching it, obviously it was during the first shutdown, and oh no, it wasn't. We were back to work. That's right, we were back to work when I started watching it. But anyways, the Stanford, when the Stanford branch like shut down and everybody went to Scranton, I laughed so hard. I'm like, oh, that's exactly what happened to us, man. We shut down Wellington, we bumped over to Davis, and it was so funny. It was so funny. And then when Michael Scott walks out, I declare bankruptcy.
I know.
I lost it when he said that. I thought that was.
You could not have picked a better time to start watching that show.
No, it was. Well, every episode was so relatable to life, and now obviously I've seen it. I'm on the other side, and I totally get why people love it because it's very relatable to life. Like it's so funny. It's so funny, but it's also really clever. Like it's a good show.
People don't notice that sometimes, and it's like, you know what? It's not for everybody. In the same way that I may not like another show, I'm not gonna fault someone for not loving The Office like I do, but whatever.
Yeah, no, it came at the right time in my life, that's for sure. So.
Yeah, and I suppose that was the other kind of upside to. Our time off was kind of catching up on shows and movies and that we otherwise didn't have time for. But then when you're on your 17th out of 20 plus movies of the Marvel, universe, you're like, this is great. But I kind of wish I was, it's 6:00 right now. I kind of wish I was taking I was with my session, at the gym, but yeah, what are you going to do?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. No, I definitely binged a bunch of movies, TV shows, and yeah, those first few days were fun, man. But you're right, it just gets old, and you start to want to, when you and I both like to work,
Yep.
we want a purpose,
Mhm.
and I think it was all a matter of just kind of figuring out what we wanted to do. So I get too stir. Lauren will roll my eyes at me when I say this out loud, but I can't have nothing to do for too long, or I'll start to lose my mind. I'll definitely start to be
Michaela will
like,
definitely attest to
yeah,
that as well. Yeah.
yeah. I'll be Jack Nicholson from The Shining if it's any longer than just a couple of days. I gotta do
Yep.
something. I got too much energy.
Honestly, we might as well use it while we have it. That
Yeah.
actually, now that we're kind of on that subject, like I, for the longest time, like kept telling myself like I was too busy to sit down and read some stuff. So when I finally stopped being lazy a couple days into quarantine, like I started flipping through all my manuals for like
Yeah.
my certifications and whatnot, just
How
to like.
awesome have those been to read? Haven't those been great to go back and reread them?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
read, I mean, granted, I only had two of them, but like I read through it cover to cover, took notes and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing that with Phil's stuff right now.
Yeah.
But that's my point is prior when I had all the time in the world, I was like, all right, now I can finally start to read. And that allowed me to form that habit that I wanted to keep doing even when I started to get busy again. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there are days where I told myself, or like, maybe I actually was too busy, client wise or whatnot. And I just would skip that day to read. But it's like, it's literally in my phone to remind me to learn something new, read XYZ, whatever. And so it's a habit that I got to keep because of quarantine, really. So that's another
Yeah.
positive, reforming a habit and keeping up with it during times where previously I was like, I don't have time for this. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely something else I noticed.
No, that's great, man. And I think that's that you just hit the nail on the head. You said the word habit. That's as you know, you and I have talked about many times already. That's the morning routine. That was something I wanted to do,
Mhm.
that I developed into a pretty good habit. The one of the other habits that I created, and this is I'm gonna let you people out there know this is a marriage saving tip for you here. I got into the habit of whenever I would do the dishes, it would kind of start a chain reaction. So I'd do the dishes, wash them, dry them, put them up, and then my next step would be either set the coffee pot up for tomorrow, or if it's already set up, like wipe down the counters and then dry Swiffer the floor, the double duty pet strong, the pet level, thickness. You know what I'm talking about? Stuff that picks up all
Yep,
that dog fur. And
absolutely.
it's just, it only took me like 10, 15 minutes, but very empowering. It
Oh
cleans
yeah.
the place up a little bit. It's obviously productive, and it takes a little bit off of my 34-week pregnant wife. So it's all also good for
Yep.
that. So, and that's something I've been
It,
doing. We had just cleaned the apartment, and I went and washed a couple dishes, and I literally started Swiffering the floor, and I was halfway through and was like, oh, the floor's already clean, but oh well, whatever, just might as well do it. It's like autopilot. I wasn't even thinking about it,
yeah.
so it was really funny. So, which is good.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely see myself doing that as well. Just going on a complete rampage of cleaning, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
man, an hour has passed.
yeah. There are worse things to do, that's for sure.
That's true. Yep. And then, and again, I'm not trying to shed light on COVID being like great or anything because it's not. But it's like you said earlier with I think the stoicism, like you gotta lick your wounds and then make the best out of a crappy situation. Otherwise you're not gonna get out of it.
Yeah,
It's gonna take way longer than it should. So that's definitely, like I said, one of the bigger takeaways, and also counting your blessings, like seeing how bad it can be elsewhere in the world, and even with people that like personally,
yeah,
and just being like, well, my life may suck kind of a little bit right now, but it could be a lot worse, and that's that this year's taught me that more than anything, I guess. Where prior it's like, yeah, there's people who have it worse in certain aspects of life and whatnot, but it's like when it comes out of this stuff, like it really opens your eyes.
oh absolutely, man. No, you're right about that. And I think one thing that I'm starting to realize, especially this year, really the last couple of years, like but I would say definitely this year as well, is life is very cyclical in nature. We have life, we have death, and we have booms and busts. Like when I think about the economy, like anytime there's like a massive boom, there's always a downsizing. There's that boom bust cycle in the market, and it's like I said, it's very cyclical. And this is a corny quote, but it's from a movie. Actually, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Sean. It's The Crow. You ever seen The Crow?
Keep talking.
It's kind of an old, I mean, it's an old movie, but it came out in like the early 90s, I think. But anyways, like one of the quotes of the movie is, "It can't rain all the time." And I've always thought that was pretty cool. It's like, it's, maybe raining right now, metaphorically, but it can't rain all the time. So, and it gives you actually gain more appreciation of the good times when you go through the dark times. So there's definitely that, like I said, for me, especially though, enhanced appreciation.
Right. Yeah. You're just gonna, not that you really took stuff for granted prior. It's like, you go into a Sox game or barbecues and stuff like that. But
man,
when you don't have those for a while, it's like it makes you appreciate them even more, the little things, and then makes you that much more excited for when you finally get to do that stuff again. So, it's a typical waiting for that next, just waiting for something that you're very excited for, and then it finally gets there. It's like just makes it that much sweeter. That's basically going to be hopefully all of 2021, or most of it anyways, once we start to get to do things again. So
absolutely. I feel like you and Michaela are definitely going to get on a cruise as soon as you're able to, aren't you? I feel like you love cruises. I feel like you two are, as soon as you guys get the vaccine, you're getting on a cruise.
I mean, honestly, they're probably going to be cheaper, cheapest as can be, or maybe the other way around, because they need to start making money again. But it's definitely something we'll probably look into. But at the same time, we'll be smart. We have a mortgage now, and other plans. So we'll see.
Definitely, yeah. No, I hear you. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but I miss being at the airport. I usually don't like, I like obviously the destination, but I just miss being at the airport. I think that's kind of silly to say, but I feel like how it is,
Oh no, I can definitely vouch for that as well. It's just because what's about to come. It's like you're either going somewhere fun or coming home, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome, man. Well, you got anything else to add about the year? Like any takeaways, any lessons you learned?
I mean, I feel like we kind of repeated ourselves a bunch, just in different ways, for emphasis, I guess. But just, to wrap that up, I guess, like I said, count your blessings. It could always be worse, and you got through a very tough time, so you're going to be that much stronger for, the next thing that kind of rolls around that may knock you down a few pegs. And just in terms of adapting to certain things, you will be more creative and be able to do that because of this, ideally. And if you can't, because it's you're wrapped up in your own thoughts and anxiety about it, because that's a real thing, obviously. Don't be afraid to outsource to someone who can hopefully help you out with that, whether it be fitness or, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm gonna pretty much say the same thing, but just kind of maybe a little bit of a shortened version. No matter what's going on in the world, obviously pandemic, the market, whether it's doing good or bad, who's in office, a lot of these things are externals, as the Stoics would call it, things that are out of our control. No matter what's going on around you, there are two things that you can always do. And it really just comes down to, no one can stop you from working and getting better. You can always work, you can always get better, you can always do something to move the sticks and get that positive yardage, get a few yards down the field, try to get, we talked about earlier, not every play has to be a touchdown, right? Like aim for a first down or just a few yards and, move the ball. So I think it's just got to do the best with what you have. So, and learn, and just like in a video game, every next level is going to require the next level of you.
Right. Yep. I love that.
Awesome. Good stuff. Sean, you want to say anything else, or you want me to wrap this up?
Just reminded you of that challenge we got going. Hit that sub button so we can give away some of those prizes.
Yes, please. Yeah. All right, everybody. I want to leave you with this very empowering statement and mission for yourself. Train your body, feed your mind.